We are live here with Ivan. Watch the breaks here on our very first show for LJ's Card Lounge. So, Ivan, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Chris. I'm in Los Angeles, so it's still morning where I'm at. Just getting started. Got my coffee. It's my third cup, so we should be good for the show today. And how about you? Did you wash your face this morning, Chris?
That's a good question. I did in the shower, but I didn't go through my morning face washing routine.
Okay. Well, you look good. It looks not shiny, but vibrant.
It's
Looks
the lighting in
vibrant.
here. It's from playing with cards all morning. I actually get to do this for my life now, and I couldn't be more happy about it. So super excited to be here.
Congrats. Hey, well, Chris,
Thank you.
actually, hold on. I know you're talking to me, but this is the lounge. First off, what's the link? Where can I drop this to viewers? And then second
Just put
off,
it. Go
yeah,
ahead. I just put it in the chat, or I'll send you a DM with it too on Twitter there for the YouTube.
okay, cool.
So
Um, and then second off, this is the first episode. You shouldn't be talking about me. Tell us about you. Your gold line
okay,
cards. This is
yeah.
LJ's card shop. Tell me where I'm on. What did I land here in?
I am so excited to be here. So I'm Chris, Goldline Cards, and I am working for LJ's Card Shop now. Um, a buddy of mine I went to high school and college with, Justin, works here in operations and saw some of the stuff I was doing with Goldline. Was really excited. Like, hey, we need you to be part of this team here. So called me up, had me in, gave me lunch, showed me around this incredible complex, and it became a job. So I left the dispatching, the gold line that I was doing, and came over here to LJ's and could not be more happy. It's just a dream every day. Like I come to work early. I think about it when I'm at home, like 8 o'clock, I'm sitting there on Twitter and stuff. So I am like the social media manager. So if you see the TikToks, the Twitter, the Instagrams, even on Facebook or the emails, like the MailChimps, that's all going to be me. And then we've got an eBay store right now, and we do a lot of things online. And we're currently looking for retail spots to open up our own, hobby shop. So we're not quite there yet, but hopefully 2022 we will actually have a physical storefront that people can visit, and we're so excited about it.
Awesome. I was just going to ask about that because I noticed on Twitter, LJ's Card Shop, and there's a link to the website, but I didn't see a location. On the website, I do see it's Ohio, so you're in the Midwest, right? Are we able to call Ohio the Midwest?
Absolutely, we're Cowtown, USA. Here we're not New Albany. It's a suburb of Columbus, and we're in currently our parent company's building. And so we're operating out of that in just kind of a small corner and just looking for expansion. So we're going to be opening our own facility here shortly. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited for you, Chris, because we've been Twitter friends for how freaking long now? Like
Yeah,
at least 2 years, right?
absolutely. Two, if not, yeah, probably about three is when I started Goldline because I had my own personal Twitter. Then I'm like, this isn't anything. I need a cards Twitter. And then, yeah, one of the first friends was you, K Dub, and like Eloy the Goat were the first, interactions I had on Twitter. So
Two great guys, and then me. I don't know how I got lumped in there with them, but um, hey, Wes Crayley is in the chat. Hey, Wes. Uh, well, that's really cool, Chris. So how often do you log into your personal Twitter now?
I can't tell you the last time I did. I'm not even sure if I know the password to get into there. It's usually just for Denver Broncos stuff, but now I've got Jamie to chat with or Tracy Hackler to chat with, and a bunch of other Broncos collectors that I just love seeing. Jamie's got his Philip Lindsay collection and Mid Ohio cards. He's here in Columbus too. Big Broncos guy, always showing off the Elways. That's just stuff you'd love to see. So it's
Nice.
awesome.
That's great. Well, cool, man. Well, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to take over your show, but I was just excited to hear about your small journey because I know we've been talking for a while, and you were so excited about the chance to stop just thinking about cards on Twitter and actually
Yeah.
get into it full time. So, um, thanks for having me on your show. What are we going to lounge about?
Well, first off, well, I already kind of did my introduction, but I don't think you're the man who needs any introduction. But Wes, he might not know who you are. So why don't you tell us who you are, and then we'll get into the show. All right.
All right. So my name is Ivan Lovegren. I'm a guy in Southern California, a father, a dad, a husband. Um, the I moved to LA to do acting 15 years ago now, and I also, a lot of us stepped out of the hobby between like college and our early professional years. That was me just the same, 16, I turned 16 in 1998. No, I turned 14 in 98. But I remember in 1998, I was chasing this guy from Ohio, or for an Ohio team, Darnay Scott, wide receiver for the Bengals. Are you Browns or Bengals, Chris?
I'm all Broncos.
Oh, all Broncos. That's right. You mentioned
Yeah.
that a little. How'd you become a Broncos fan in the middle of Ohio?
Uh, so my mom tells a story that when I was like 4 or 5, went to the grocery store. You get the little quarter machine helmets, and I got a
Yeah,
Denver Broncos mini helmet and just fell in love with it. And that was right when Elway was the man, and they're losing 55-10 to the 49ers in the Super Bowl, and so
yeah,
I fell in love with it that way.
that's awesome. So actually, sort of similar for me and this guy Darnay Scott. My first pack of Upper Deck Collector's Choice in 1994, I pulled a "You Crash the Game" card, which was the contest that they had, where if the player scored a touchdown, you won a set of cards. And his had an opening day date on it, and he was a rookie and he was a second round pick. Not a lot of people were talking about him, and remember, scouting wasn't what it was, you know, today back then. So I'd never heard of the guy, but I pull this card, and we also didn't have internet the same way in 1994. So I literally had to wait for the Monday newspaper to check the box score and see that he scored a fourth quarter garbage time touchdown, and I won a set of the "You Crash the Game" cards because of that, a bronze set. And so I was instantly hooked, instantly into Darnay, and started collecting him. This is going way, way, way too deep, but I love talking about Darnay Scott. So 1998 was the year that I just got too overwhelmed with products. I was like, there's no way I can collect every single Darnay Scott this year because there's too many products out there. There's just like, how does anybody do this? And it really overwhelmed me as a 14-year-old, and then high school, sports, all of that. Went to college, studied theater, moved to Los Angeles, started working in production and doing acting on the side. And then me and a girl moved in together that I was pretty serious about. She is now my wife and the mother of my kids, so that worked out. But we moved into this place that I'd been in 6 different apartments in LA, and moving every 6 months, every year when the lease comes up and the landlord jacks the rent up. And it was like, wow, this place, I think we're going to be here for a while, and I've got some extra space. And I had maybe 4 or 5 boxes of cards I'd randomly bought over the last 3 years, opened and put the cards back in the packs, and just they'd moved around with me. And I had a closet. And I was like, I can put these in this closet and actually have space. And so I started getting back into collecting with that. It was 2011. Hey, Brian just joined the chat. How's it going, Brian? So that got me back into collecting. But at the same time, I was in film, and I was doing these different web series and things, because just getting cast is its own set of work. So I was doing all that, and I realized as I kept making all these mistakes as a collector and engaging with collectors on Twitter, then I was like, you know what? I should make a web series about collecting and all the collect fails that I have along the way. And so I did this web series called The Breaks, and that's where my name comes from. People think, oh, what are you breaking? And it's like, well, it's actually go back to 2013, and it's Watch the Breaks, the web series. And yeah, so we did this web series about collecting, and Twitter just kept growing and growing, and the hobby kept growing and growing. And I just stuck with it. So even though my day job now is completely outside of film, and I actually love what I do in my day job, the breaks side has continued and grown into its own whole thing. So I do a lot on Twitter. I am on Instagram and Facebook and all that, and in some Discords. But man, I just love Twitter for cards. It's sorry, your first question gets a huge rambling answer, but but Twitter to me is when I was 11, when I was 12, when I was riding my bike 4 miles in Omaha, Nebraska to the catcher's mitt from our house, and ripping those collector's choice cards. It was like the shop was always better when there was a lot of people in it because it was just fun to talk cards, even if I disagree with
Absolutely.
people. But at the same time, you're constrained by locality. And so for me, it was like, who here cares as much as I do? And even my brother and the neighbor kid who would go with me, like neither of them cared as much as I did. The neighbor kid had way more money. He had way nicer cards, and he put them in a shoebox. I'm like, no, we got to sleeve these. We got to put them in top loaders. And so what I absolutely love about Twitter is it's like a 24/7 card show or card shop with that most important component, which is the people.
The communication, the communities involved. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I could not agree more. With gold line cards, we always say we're about the people and the connections, not the actual cardboard. And it's like you said, just talking to people. You can say, "Oh my gosh, I just pulled this banger," and you get 15 comments and talking to people about it for 20 minutes. All of a sudden, it's dinner time, and you're just talking to your friends that you've never met before, and it's incredible. Like, Garrett and Eric are in the chat here. Those are two of my great friends I talk to every single day. And I've never met, I met Eric, but I've never met Garrett before. And he's a guy I talk to every single day. It's incredible how those relationships can blossom over a common interest.
I've got an incredible Fleer Greg Maddux rookie. I'm pointing back here because it's in this slab thing down here. A Fleer Greg Maddux rookie, which I'd never had before, that Garrett sent me as a friend. Like just because of some of the stuff that we'd done, and he saw it, and he's like, "Hey, I know you need this card." We've never met in person. Brian and Eric in the chat, and Wes. Like, I've talked to all of you on Twitter, right? Like, it's. And every time we get to meet somebody in person, like very rarely have I been disappointed meeting somebody in person from Twitter. Like usually it's like just the same exact people. Oh, look, Garrett's coming. He's heading to the shop.
Yeah. He had a trip planned last summer, and the family got COVID, wasn't able to make it, so he's heading out here. Then I always thought I was going to head to Las Vegas next weekend, get to meet you, and that trip got scrapped last minute. So have to meet you at the National. We're going to have our whole team out there, so it's going to be awesome. Just can't wait to meet just like everybody out there. It's going to be amazing.
Oh yeah, it's the absolute best. If you're planning on buying anything, throw that out the window right now because you're going to be so busy just meeting people. It's just not going to happen. There's no shopping.
Last year, LJ's did buy a $4.3 million Mahomes.
Well, there is that. There is that.
So our owner might bring some money with him, but I'm going to be there networking and meeting people and just having a great time. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Man, if I'd only bought F1 all national long instead of doing my job there this year.
Man.
That was the low point for F1 boxes was the national. $500 is what they were.
And they're what, $1,300 sold for last night?
Whoa, no, more like 3,000.
Oh, wow. Wonder what
I'm talking about the 2020 F1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 2020 F1 was $500 at last year's national.
Holy moly.
And I was telling all my friends, hey, you should buy some, but I never got off on the floor to find any for myself.
All right. Well, you're talking about product and buying stuff. Well, how much do you actually open? Because I see you giving stuff away almost every day. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely adore you and the things you do is because you just make people's lives better. But how much do you actually open stuff and enjoy? And I mean, if you hit, a huge banger, are you excited as you were when you were 16? Like, how does that work for you? Walk us through your process.
Of course. Like, here's one thing that I like. The one thing that I don't like about that can happen on Twitter a lot, mainly because it happens in humanity a lot, is like starting to make fun of people for having fun. Like shaking. I have shook when I've pulled a great card before. Like,
yeah.
So like when you make fun of other people, sometimes you're making fun of people you don't know. So let's just avoid making fun of people. Hold me in check on that. DMs are always open. But yeah, I get super excited when I rip something huge. Um, I ripped. Now I rip a lot, but I don't rip. I don't know. It's tough. Like I'm literally laughing and in a little shock because I'm looking at all these piles of cards that I am surrounded by. I wish I could pan the camera on my screen to show you, but I ripped, I think, 2 hobby boxes of Flagship, 2 blasters of Flagship, and had to stop. I could rip 18 more blasters if I wanted, but there is a level of responsibility there. I ripped about 18 boxes, I want to say, of F1 Chrome last year. I haven't ripped any this year. Usually when Topps does like a drop 2, I'll rip 1 and give 1 away, so that happens, a lot of ripping there. And yeah, I rip way more than I should. I recently ripped, and I know you're going to ask about coolest cards later, but I recently ripped 5 boxes of Scottish Professional Football League cards.
Wow.
And as absurd as that may sound, the cool part, the reason I ripped 5 instead of keeping some or even giving away 1, first off, they're still under $100 on the Topps UK site, like after shipping and everything. They're £70, which translates to less than $100 after all the shipping and stuff. And these cards, I don't know what they did. They were printed in Italy, which is the same factory that did the Topps Chrome F1, which messed up a whole bunch of them. They are like thicker, like the base cards are thicker, and it's fun to open. And they've only got like 6 parallel levels, and it's actually really fun when there's only that many parallel levels. Like hitting a parallel is fun, but not meaningless,
Yeah.
And I just had an absolute blast ripping these to where it was like 5 boxes in. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh wait, And so then I've been learning about the league, and there's actually some good players in the league. They all play for the same team, all the good players, and then there's some good legacy autographs. But getting back to the hobby side of it, it's like I ripped too much of that. So then I'm like, I do have to sell some of this to get some money back. I do have a family, and one of the autos that I hit, but I know people all over the globe now because of Twitter, and so I asked a guy who's in the UK, hey, who do you know that loves this? And he sent me a guy who was chasing that particular auto, but had gotten one like in the day before we talked. And then he said, but this guy's searching for one. And so I reach out, and the dude's like, yeah, I've been trying to get one on eBay. It kind of sucks buying eBay US and this and that. And we worked out a deal where hopefully I saved him some money. I got some money back, and I got to send a card to Scotland to fulfill a Scottish football fan's like all time. Here is my guy, Henrik Larsson, who's regarded as number 1 or 2 all time in that league. Here's his first Topps auto on card from the Scottish League. So
that's great.
Yeah. So I had a lot of fun ripping those, and I said it actually. I was on Breaker Culture a couple weeks ago. Like, if you're just looking for a box of cards to rip to see like unique quality, I actually recommend going out. If you got $100, go out and buy one of those and tweet me what you think, because I want to somehow get the message to Topps. If I'd gotten that before the industry conference, I would have stood up and said, hey, do you guys realize the quality of these cards? How do we get that on Topps Chrome Baseball?
Well, I got a feeling 10 people are going to watch this, are going to go buy that box today. Like, I know I'm going to buy at least one. So
it's just fun to rip,
Absolutely. See, I fall in that category too. My wife and my kids really enjoy it too. My wife will open anything but like basketball. My daughter and I do a Sunday morning show together where we open cards called Coffee and Cards with Chris and Claire. That's it. I have a cup of coffee. She usually has apple juice. We open a box of cards and we talk about it. It's usually Pokemon because that's what she's into now. But, we get the Flagship or hobby boxes around. We've got a LCS literally 2 minutes from my house. And then Ryan, card collector 2, he's just 20 minutes south of me. So we hit up to his shop sometimes as well. Haven't got, and even in shop here, I get to open cards. Last week, he walks in with some Formula One, walks in with Don Ross Choice and some Soccer Prism. So 2 hours of our
Hey.
day, there's four of us sitting around a table, ripping cards together. And I think that also kind of took a little of the itch away from wanting to buy some of that myself and
Mm-hmm.
opening it, because I'm like, hey, I just opened for 2 hours at work. I absolutely love it. Had a blast. Got to talk with my buddies. Then there's something else too. If like Series One hobby box. My wife and I sat on the couch, took 45 minutes, spent that time together, just opened it. No bangers or anything in it, but it was just that 45 minutes of enjoying this time with my wife. That's just priceless because we both just really enjoyed it. So that's we open way too much product too. Every time you're in Walmart, which is next to my house too, it's like you got to buy a box. And my daughter wants opening day because it's got mascots in it, and my son likes football cards. So it's just like, nah, just having a good time, doing what we enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just having fun. I'm a little bit jealous of you. My wife's not as into cards as yours is, but she's understanding. Just hopeful my kids outpace Pokemon and get into sports soon. We just became season ticket holders of actually the women's soccer league team in Los Angeles. And so I'm hoping going to a few matches will get them more excited. So
Well, since we're talking family, I do have to mention that my daughter Claire does have the world's largest Jesse Winker baseball card collection. And he was
that's right.
just traded from the Reds to Seattle. So she was inquiring about us moving to Seattle. She asked,
Smart.
she said, why couldn't it have been Joey Votto? She said that she's got to be a Mariners fan now, so I'm going to get her a Mariners hat or something. So we're huge Reds fans, and I was talking about Buck City Breaks earlier. My dad, Claire, and I went to opening day last year. The BCB guys had front row left field. Like the sixth inning, Chris texts me like, "Hey man, come on down here. No one's around." So Claire and I go down there, and she's got her Jesse's girl shirt on that my wife custom made for her. And she's talking to Jesse, and the Buck City guys got her like a little rosy red dog. We just had
No
the
way.
time of our lives. And Jesse even like DM'd her happy birthday because I posted her rainbow on her birthday,
Nice.
like, hey, Jesse's fan, and retweet, 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 the power of Twitter. He sends her a DM on her birthday, wishing her happy birthday. Like, unbelievable stuff. Like the power of the internet and just good people doing good things is incredible, man.
Yeah, it gets a bad rap, but it's amazing what can happen. In fact, actually, I'm remiss. It's upstairs. I've got like 4 different PC boxes hanging around, but I've got a Claire 1 of 1 sketch card, which is one of my favorite cards in my collection. So always makes things fun when kids. You sent me a rack a year or 2 years ago, I think, right during the middle of Project 2020, and there was a
Yeah,
Claire
yeah.
101 in there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
she got into that after Blake Jameson did his, he was the biggest thing in the hobby for some time. And then we were doing a fundraiser for the American Heart Association. So she started making some Claire cards, and she bedazzled a Mike Trout, Ben Baller Project
Uh-huh.
70 card. And Blake was the one who won the auction to keep it. And I know some friends absolutely love them. And, she enjoys sending them to her little hobby friends too. So it's a good time. And glad it gives her arts and crafts time and daddy daughter time and hobby time.
Exactly. Yeah, I wish more. That's creative thinking. Did she come up with that, or did you come up with that and like shift her into that? How can more dads do that? Is kind of what I'm asking.
She came up with it. We were like, I was just playing with some cards while she was having arts and crafts time. And she was like, can I paint that? Just like some random base card. Like, yeah, here, sure. She starts like tracing the guy and stuff. And then started getting more creative where you do like paint splatter stuff. And then it just kind of took off where, hey, our buddy Zach, his daughter Aviana, we sent her some cards. And then Kelly's cards wanted some. We sent him stuff. And we started off as a fundraiser, and then
Uh-huh.
it just grew into a thing.
I love it. That's cool.
Simple idea snowballs, man.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that's us as dads, us as family men. What else is going on in the lounge?
Well, we did talk about F1, which might be the hottest product in 2022 right now. Or it might be the Flawless. You got Drake opening 30 cases of Flawless. What's your opinion on the hottest and coldest products you can get right now?
So are you talking like in general? Because 89 Upper Deck is still hot. In fact,
Oh, we've got
I
a
just
couple
grabbed
of We've got a couple of cases here if you're interested in buying those.
Wow, that would be insane. Um,
I'll send you a picture when we're done.
nice. So yeah, if you're talking like what's hot right now, like I mean, obviously Heritage with people chasing Wander. The new F1 is hot. It's hotter than I thought it would be, honestly. I've people that keep receipts. I'm wrong quite a bit, as much as I'm right, probably more. Uh, I was convinced that F1 Chrome would drop, that there would be too much product versus the demand. And so it's been exciting to see it not. It just sucks because I didn't pay the stupid release prices. If I'd have gotten some on Tops, I would have paid it, but I didn't pay it was $600 for a hobby box when Tops dropped it for $5. I didn't pay that because I'm like, it's going to come down. As you said, 1,300 now. The light boxes are like 600, 500. So I'm not going to be able to ever rip any of that, which is fine. Hoping that maybe they do a Sapphire Montgomery Club drop and I get one box. But it'll be interesting to see with the World Cup what comes out for soccer this year. Right now, I don't feel like there's a super hot soccer product, but the UEFA Champions League first edition sold out really fast, and so it'll be interesting to see once those cards are in hand who starts popping from that. Yeah, and basketball's in such a weird place right now with the product delays, and even football too. Like, we don't have Prism.
It's
Like,
weird.
the season's been over for long enough that I'm starting to forget about it, and we don't have Prism. So such a strong rookie class in football this year. It'll be really interesting to see what happens. And honestly, I'm still a little bullish on Trevor Lawrence. Probably wrong on that, but
You are right.
thank you.
They're finally putting a team around him.
We won't tell anyone. It's just going to be us that know this. But yeah. But then the problem is, like, I'm hoping for more people to forget about him, but it's like Prism's going to come out in the middle of April, and so it's going to be hot just because it's out. Like, there's going to be no gap window unless he really sucks this next year. So yeah, I don't know. Just thinking out loud, sharing some thoughts.
I'm really not a fan of contenders. Like, you have obviously the rookie autos and the ticket autos. It's not a product for me. Most of it is just not eye appealing. Like, I'm going through some of our collection here today, and like, okay, we've got a Luca RPA with blue ink on it, blue jersey, and it's like the emerald, and it's just so good looking with the blue on blue, and just the color schemes and just the overall layout of the contenders. I just don't. This is not a product for me. You talked about the heritage. I really like the heritage. I think it looks good. It's eye appealing. The value may or may not be, depending on what you get. But open a blaster for $20, just enjoy yourself. If the time comes where I'm not enjoying opening stuff, that's the time where I shouldn't be doing this anymore. So, I think
it's interesting you say that, because if I did have one complaint, and I'll probably, if I can see them at the Mint Collective, I'll say the same thing to them. I don't know if it's supply chain or if it's on purpose with print runs getting where they are, but we'll say a lot of the Panini products I've opened this year have felt too much the same. And I mean that in a physical sense. There is a ton of the same exact thin paper, same stock, same point between Absolute, Contenders. Chronicles basketball this year stunned me because I love Chronicles. I've been a champion of that brand since everybody said it was, not worth it. It's not worth ripping. It's, too saturated with rookies. That doesn't matter to me if the variety is there. And even 2020 NFL had like the Prism Black inserts, like those were awesome. And that made a box so much better. A few thick acetate, Prism, refractor, different feels make Chronicles incredible. Like, it doesn't need to be that much more than it is right now. But Chronicles basketball this year had no Prism Black, and by this year I technically mean last year, I think. And it was all the same paper stock, or that paper stock with foil, which I think collectors are really getting sick of. Whereas Heritage, and again, the flip side of that, Panini, if you're listening or watching, I don't know if they have time to do that with all the stuff they have to get going, but like Panini Classics, I'd say is the exception. Who does not love ripping Panini Classics? Like if you're a football fan, you enjoy that, whether your hit is a Ray Guy auto or a Trevor Lawrence auto, right? Panini Classics is a fun rip. And I think there's not enough attention paid to that. We saw a comment just pop up too. Someone, Wes Crayley said, Heritage is beautiful. Yeah, like we all know that we're not going to get our value back in every single box. And if you don't know that, you're hearing it here for the first time, take that to heart. It stuns me when people say this. The odds are printed on the box. Look, right here. Odds of getting a green rainbow foil are 1 in 153. So now take those odds, go to Cardboard Connection or Beckett or go gts.net. We've got checklists out there now. That's the site for the show that I do every Thursday. And look at the checklist and say, okay, which green rainbow foil is worth $20? 3 of them. And there's 350 possible. So even if I hit the 1 in 153, I've got a 3 in 350, 1 in 100. Like, do the math. You are not supposed to make money back from these. It's fun when we do, but the odds are printed right there. So how, if you know it's a losing proposition with a golden ticket chase, how do you keep thousands of customers happy that are losers? Because we are going to be losers, and that's okay, because you know how that you keep us happy? Different card stocks, the types of refractors and parallels we want to chase. Something in here, where'd they go? Oh man, I got to enter them. Did I lose them? Somewhere around here, I have home run challenge codes that need to be entered this year. Here they are. Wouldn't that be funny if I just missed them? There's always a few that you don't miss. Like, this makes Topps flagship fun to me. A contest. I mentioned the You Crash the Game, and Darnay Scott made me a collector of his for 4 years. Probably still have the world's preeminent Darnay Scott collection with my 120 or so cards. So I would say that was a pain point for me this year on a lot of those products, was the base not having that extra factor, which helps you win as a... I'm rolling over my cord here, so if my audio cuts out, having that extra factor that helps you feel like you won as a collector, even if you're monetarily spending money on what is a hobby.
And then also, you just get the guys that you like. Okay, I collect Cincinnati Reds and I collect Cody Bellinger. So last year they had all the Bellinger inserts. So I went out and tried to find all of the Bellinger inserts, and there's 27 of them. Well, I got all of them because you know why? I wanted to. It was fun for me, and I completed it. And I had 5 or 6 people sending me PWEs with cards in it because I needed number 7. Okay, Wes sent me 7, and Brian Spendley sent me a couple of them because I just needed them. Because okay, you could have this Cody Bellinger at home, means nothing to you, or it means a whole bunch to me. Are you going to spend that 71 cents on a stamp to make me really happy, or is it going to go into a shoebox in your closet? You're probably going to send it to me because you know that I'm collecting that stuff. And that's the kind of stuff I do too. It's like you're opening a box and I've got a stack of 20 different people. Like I pull a Detroit Tigers, it's going to Kelly. I pull a Mahomes, it's probably going to Wes. I pull some, a Lindor, it's going to Terry.
You just use the worst example, because I will tell you, if they are ever good again, like I've been loading up. So first off, I guess I should disclose this. I've been loading up on any Tigers prospect I can. But the reason why is people don't realize that the Detroit Tigers are a top 10 fan base in Major League Baseball. They are rabid. So when you say Tigers go to Kelly, I'm like, I can't do that, because every time I pull a Tiger, I get 5 people in my DMs asking if I've sold it, or asking if I will sell it, or asking if I'll trade it. And that's in like the first post. Then like over the day, I'll get more. It's crazy how crazy Tigers fans are. So I'm glad that you have one that gets all your stuff. But just any of you Tigers fans out there are listening, I love you all.
Absolutely. Their farm system and their young guys are incredible.
I think it's just because they haven't been good as a team for so long that the hobby has missed that. I feel like they're as strong as Yankees fans. it's crazy what they'll buy. Now, maybe the rest of the country isn't buying them like they do Yankees, but man, Detroit fans are hungry, and I love them for it.
All right, Ivan, let's lounge around about something else. What is
Okay.
your favorite card in the ultra modern era? Not based on value or how much it's worth, just the base look of it.
Is this ultra modern?
We'll call it ultra modern, sure.
2014.
That's modern, but same thing.
I mean, there's like 15 parallels, right, that year?
I'm just going by what PSA tells me when I have to sub stuff, whether it's modern or ultra modern. So,
am I really so old and out of the loop that I'm modern, not ultra modern now?
I don't know. I think I'm older than you, so
Yeah, well, old and out of the loop, I said.
Yeah, my bad. I'm in the loop. It's a good loop. It just loops right back around, and I'm in it. So
LJ's is in the loop. I love it. Well, actually, so I saw that question, and obviously I have this ready, not just because I have it ready, but because it literally lives on my desk right here next to my monitor, 24/7. When you say favorite, do you mean like, because this card has a story behind it? Story I've told many, many times. Always happy to tell it again. Story that's actually been in Cardboard Connection. Ryan Cracknell did a write-up on the story behind it. It's not even the centerpiece. It's not even the centerpiece of that story. So the story goes but that's why it's my favorite. So do you mean that, or do you mean like, oh, this is not even a real card, but like, oh, I love this Ted Lasso card because it's cool and all that. Like, what do you mean by favorite?
I didn't really have that specific. Whatever you want to show, I'm kind of digging on this Chris Bryant story because I don't know it, and I'd like to hear it if you have time.
All right. Well, so again, just how big the hobby is. There's one person that hasn't heard me say this story. He's going to get to hear it now. So Chris, I mentioned my journey, like 2011, I kind of started getting back into cards. But it was football that I got into first. I stopped collecting baseball at the strike, and that's when I transitioned into football primarily, hence 1994 Collector's Choice, Darnay Scott. And so I got back in with football and, did some chases there. Collected some Andrew Luck, his rookie season. Actually, my first Twitter giveaway was a Russell Wilson Inception auto, because remember back at the time, he was the third best quarterback in that class. So my very first Twitter giveaway I did was an Inception blue Russell Wilson auto. And it was actually on my personal, not even on my card account at the time.
I bet it looks really good with that blue on blue, huh?
I mean, as a Broncos fan, right?
It's going to look even better with that prism blue next year with this blue jersey on.
You don't think of it like the orange prism would be ideal?
It depends what picture they take. They only wear the blue uniforms once a year, so it's probably going to be an orange on orange, but I'm still partial to the blue because, fun fact, John Elway never lost wearing a blue jersey.
Interesting. And he was wearing blue in that. I was going to say in that touchdown. That was an incredible play. I still remember watching that live. So, but yeah, so this one. So I spent a couple years in football only. And then I kid you not, literally, I woke up one day in 2013 and said, you know what? I have not been paying enough attention to baseball. I'm getting older. I'm almost 30. Remember being almost 30, Chris? I'm gonna get back into baseball.
10 years ago.
And I literally went to USA Today's baseball website that day. And guess what? It was the day before the baseball draft of 2013. So their website was this big, hey, here's the next draft preview. Here's the draft preview. And in there, they said, look, the Astros have the number 1 pick. The Cubs have the second. And I was always a Cubs fan, no matter what. And there's a chance that the best home run hitter in this draft, this kid from San Diego, Chris Bryant, may fall to number 2 for the Cubs. Now, in my history as a Cubs fan, they never drafted the big home run guy. They always drafted the contact guy or pitching. Pitching was always such a priority and did well. Pryor, Woods, etc. Wood. But like Cubs fans were always like, can we just get a home run slugger? Can we just get a big bat? Like, let's get a big bat. That's what I remember growing up with, was like, when do we get that from our development? So I'm like, that would be so cool if the Cubs took this kid, Chris Bryant from San Diego, with the big bat. And then they did. And so I was like, I'm on board. I'm in. Chris Bryant is my guy. I love him. And so he came out in a few products, Elite Extra Edition, bought into a big break of that, did not hit a Chris Bryant auto in a 20 case break of Elite Extra Edition, which has like 6 autos per box, which actually made its way into my web series as a joke. One of the episodes is centered around that break, because the breaker just kept saying, man, no Chris Bryant. And I'm like, I have the Chris Bryant spot. Irony is I actually made my money back because Gleyber Torres was also in that product, who people forget was on the Cubs international signing. So 2014 Bowman comes out, and it's Chris Bryant's first autograph in a Topps card in a Cubs uniform. And so I was not making a ton of money at the time, but I was also single and didn't have kids. So I was buying cards, but I had never bought a case of cards, and I would buy maybe like 2 boxes. So I ended up buying, between jumbo and hobby, 14 boxes of that year's Bowman, trying to hit a Chris Bryant auto, which when it first came out was $125 for an auto because it was a redemption. 3 weeks later, when the redemptions went live, it jumped to $300. Still, I could have bought like 5 or 6 autos for the cost of those boxes. And I did not hit a single Chris Bryant auto. Now, irony, I hit 3 Mookie Betts autos, which I graded and sold at the next national for about $75 each, including the refractor. I don't know if you don't look up Mookie Betts refractor BGS 9.510 prices today. But so I had this big, but again, it sort of fell. Yeah, you're like, wait a minute.
Sorry, I'm just thinking the rest of my afternoon. We just got a 350 SGC sub back today that I'm gonna have to go through. And I'm like, looking up that, or I don't know, just made me think of what I have to do the rest of the day.
Sorry for that. But yeah, so I don't hit a Chris Bryant auto this entire time. And of course, I'm posting to Twitter this entire time. Like every time I open a new box, man, no Chris Bryant, here's what I hit. And I've got a buddy, Mike in Vegas at MK9577 on Twitter, who's also a big Chris Bryant fan. Goes to a lot of games, has a really nice camera, takes cool pictures at the games. He travels for work, so he's able to see a lot of cool games all over. And Chris Bryant was now in the minors. And one day, Mike is trying to buy a autographed bat online, Chris Bryant autographed. And so he tweets it to Chris Bryant and says, hey, Chris, can you verify that this was really your bat? Because it was game used. And Chris sees the price and says, hey, man, no way I'm going to let you pay that. DM me and I'll send you a bat. And so he sends a bat free to my buddy Mike, who's a big collector, DMs him. And Mike, being the guy he is, and he works in events, so he's like, man, Chris, can I pay it back? Can I get you, tickets to something, are you ever in this city, or that? And Chris is like, no, man, no, not anything. So Mike's thinking, how do I pay this forward? Mike knows that I love Chris Bryant. He's not going to send me the bat. Would never expect that. And he's like, Ivan, Chris won't let me do anything for him. So I'm going to send you that card you've been chasing. And he sent me a raw Chris Bryant Bowman Chrome autograph. And then I took it to the National the next year and got it graded, and it graded a 9.510, and it's will always be my favorite card in my collection because of that whole story. So that's why I say the story got written up, because the story is Chris Bryant gives Twitter fan game used bat, which is awesome, and Mike got it framed and it looks great. But I got to have a small part of that is literally my most treasured card among so many that I do treasure, though. I've got just this swath up here. I feel bad. My friend Kelvin is just attacking me on Twitter because I've had this for 3 days now, and we had the craziest weekend as a family. I haven't been able to open it. I want to open it and do him justice, and I can't even get to it. But among all of these crazy, awesome cards and stories and people, this one just will always be the centerpiece. Rookie of the Year, MVP, World Series champ for the Cubs after a 108-year drought.
That's incredible.
So
I'm going to share mine because your story was so incredible. Um, my wife, I got my master's, my MBA at 38 years old, married with 2 kids, working a full-time job. I'm sure you can understand how difficult that is as a as a working adult.
Oh
She
yeah.
got me a 2 of 10 John Elway auto game used patch. It like spells out Broncos dirty patch, and it's just
Wow.
incredible. And to me, just she was thoughtful enough to know something I would really treasure, and got that for me. Like it's one of those that you bury me with it. Like it's if there's a fire, I'm getting the kids out and then the dogs and cats, and then that, like, it's my most treasured
Yeah.
possession. And just knowing that my wife thought I would like it and got it for me, she's like, I'm just so proud of you. You did this and that and the other, and it's led to a lot of amazing life opportunities. And it all comes back to, that Elway card.
Yeah. And I'll bet you it's not even the most expensive card you own, right?
No, not even
Yeah.
close, but it's
But
awesome.
but it means so much more. So
Yeah.
is that one of the LJs? Is that L or J?
Um, Mike, he's the
Mike.
accountant guy. He's got to give me a check for
Ooh.
to repay my tuition I owe for my old job. So they're helping me
Ooh.
out with that.
Oh, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I'm telling
Yeah.
you, man, there's nothing like working here. I just wake up in the morning and it's just like, I don't have to be in until later. I can do my stuff at home. Like, nope, going in as soon as I can, dropping the kids off, getting to work.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you actually want to show up and really, show up and put up, right?
Mm-hmm. So I think that last one just kind of covered the next 2 things on my Lyricist Lounge show we got here. You remember that show from maybe your high school days, Lyricist Lounge show on MTV?
No,
No.
I don't.
All
MTV
right.
was
Well,
banned in our house.
one thing I did want to get into, I don't know if you're on any time constraints because we're already 47 in here, but I know you give a lot of stuff away. And is it to grow the hobby, to grow more followers, to get engagement? Like, can you tell us more? Because I know LJ's is going to get into some of this, and it's just there's a fine line between selling things, giving things away, looking for clout, just being a good person. And it's like, how can I tiptoe that line, as well as you do?
So the first thing I'd say is don't worry about tiptoeing it. Like there's always going to be somebody, but this gets back to the negativity thing. You're just doing that for this. Okay. You're getting it. Like you're getting stuff. So if you're really giving stuff away, like one, it doesn't matter. My big thing, we talked about this a little bit, just very little before the show. Like you said, oh, I just want people to see who you are, not who the Twitter is. And it's like, yeah, they're the same thing. So there are people that manipulate markets. There are people that abuse following in order to just make money off of people. And there's things that I do that are advertised. Just today, I posted some Fanatics links that I will make money if people buy from them. But at the same time, it's stuff that I believe in. So it really comes down to adding in that component for me of, do people believe that your heart is still there? Like if I do a giveaway and I get 100 new followers, are those followers going to like who I am when I'm not giving stuff away? I like to think they will. If they don't and they unfollow, that's fine. But like all the limiting beliefs around it, I throw out the window. Like it doesn't impact me. And it so I wouldn't worry so much about people saying that you're just doing this for that if you back it up with other things that help people. Like back it up with other things that help people, getting them access to things they can't otherwise get, adding to the community voice, sharing, there's so many things out there with your American Heart Association stuff, giving back. And the Bible, I'm going to get religious here for a second, does say, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is giving. And I also get that. But I think that there is, so keep in mind, my day job is I'm a financial advisor. And before I got into my specialty I'm in now, I worked actually with a lot of nonprofits. and I learned a lot about nonprofit fundraising and a lot of the misconceptions around it, and things that actually come, getting biblical again, from a Puritan background of money is bad and we don't want it, but God gave us gifts and strengths and we're supposed to use those to the best of our ability. Like if I'm a really great carpenter, then I better go out and make $1 million tables because that's the gift God gave me and the obligation. But now I have money and it's bad, so I need to give some away to almost whitewash my soul, when it's like that's not exactly the point of giving. The point of giving is to make a better difference for somebody else. So when you're doing the American Heart Association things, should you do that in secret? I don't think so, because Chris, you've got a big enough following that you doing it publicly is not about you getting clout. It's about you getting more people to give to those who need it, to the causes that need it. And we can get so caught up in, oh, you know, even with celebrities, he's just doing this to get out of trouble. He's just giving money to this to get out of trouble. Do you think the people that are getting the relief care why it was given? So sort of morphed a little bit, but read, if any of you watching want more information on this, there's a great TED Talk by a gentleman named Dan Pallotta. He also wrote a number of books, one of which is called Uncharitable. It's about everything that's broken in our current charitable system. And it's you know, like he did fundraisers for World AIDS Organization or a big AIDS organization. And he said they actually got in trouble because they were paying celebrities too much to endorse it. People are like, that money should be going to the cause. And he's like, you don't understand. The celebrity endorsements are getting us. That's why we're raising $60 million a year, is because we're paying celebrities $1 million of the money that you donate. So what would you rather have? $59 million going to the cause, or 3 or 4 million if we didn't have these celebrities? And do you think the people that are getting treatment with AIDS, or the people that are getting cures developed, or the people that are getting, you know, advanced science because of this, do you think they care why it was given? No. You know, do you think the hungry person cares that you are giving it for a tax break? No. So let's not judge those that are giving. Let's focus on ourselves and what we can give. And so I don't know if that helps you at all.
Absolutely.
You know, I see Chris is saying, preach it, Ivan. Awesome. So one person agrees with me besides this. Chris Bradshaw in the chat, not Chris. Unless that's, you're not Chris Bradshaw, are you?
No.
No aliases here. Right?
I'm Chris Capel.
Yeah. So I would say, you know, all those limiting beliefs, if you know your heart is in a good place, and Chris, I've known you for a long time. I believe that it is. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you back it up. You know, make sure that you don't start manipulating markets. Make sure that you don't start, you know, doing things that make you untrustworthy. Wes just said he's got to get back to work. Took his lunch hour to spend with us. Thank you, Wes.
That's awesome.
That. And to anybody else that's still listening now, 50 minutes in, thank you for sticking around.
It's just gone smooth and swimmingly, that where I'm like gonna have to skip stuff here because it's just we got 53 minutes of just chatting. It's awesome.
Yeah. I will add to that though, because the other thing in there was like, do you do it to grow the hobby? I have always, like, since I realized that I could possibly expand this, one of my goals has always been to grow the hobby. Because when I first started doing hobby Twitter, I was waiting tables in a restaurant and doing acting. And I'm sure you each have a story like this too at your workplace, where it's like you mentioned cards and, oh yeah, I had the Mark McGuire rookie card. I had the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. Like everybody says that. And it's like, why are you not collecting now? And again, for me, the joy that I got collecting at the Catcher's Mitt in Omaha, Nebraska, all those years ago, and at my first national I went to, where I got to meet, you know, those back pages and have another one of the cards that is always on my desk. Technically, it's my wife's. He gave it to my wife. Big story there we won't get into, on why Thurman Munson matters to her. The that same feeling, like I want the party to be as big as possible, because I think it enhances it. Now, I know some other people don't, and I've actually met some people that don't, that I can understand their reasoning for it, and I appreciate that. But for me, that's what it is. So if I can get more people that are instead spending money on sneakers or autographed CDs or, whatever it is that they're passionate about, if I can get them to see, oh, wow, there's a Kendrick Lamar trading card. That's really cool. That to me excites me. And that makes the hobby a better place for me. Part of that being that I also have always been curious about all things. That's why I'll pick up Scottish League soccer cards, because at the end of the day, those cards existing allow me to connect with 4 new friends in Scotland that I didn't know I could have. And actually, at a birthday party this last weekend with my kids, the wife is out getting the cake, and the husband mentions, oh, yeah, she's Scottish. And I'm like, as soon as she arrives, I get to ask her what her
Yes.
favorite Scottish football league team is. And she's like, oh, my goodness, most people here don't even know. And we have a fun conversation. That's life. And that's what the hobby does for me, is enhances life. So I've always been about trying to expand it and grow it and welcome new people. And when you sent that tweet, or when you sent that list, it reminded me of some people who I consider valuable voices in the hobby today, have, came in, they saw a Project 2020 tweet of mine and came in because of that, and have told me, I'm not trying to take credit for it, but it's just like, when you have a reach, if you can use that reach to show more people things that they don't know exist, and then they find out it exists and now it has meaning to them, like, now they're doing the same thing to other people, which is just absolutely incredible. When I read some of the best Project 70 reviewers out there and some of the people that have the best connections and podcasts, and it's like, yeah, I want you, because you're different than me and you have the time to put into Project 70 and I don't. Like, I'll boost you. I'll post your stuff. It's great.
And isn't that just incredible? Like you said, when you bring other people into the hobby, I run a little chat group that we put together of just our friends, like Garrett multiple times said, or Kevin Fee or Chris Fargo. And they said, I wouldn't be this involved if it wasn't for me. Like Chris Goldline, like I got all these people together, started promoting stuff, started pushing people. During the pandemic, a lot of these people are at home. I still had to go to work every single day. I didn't get any days off. My job was, essential, working at a police department. I had to go in every single day of it. But you still had, which gets in the next part, where do you find the time for this kind of stuff? It's like you just do because you love it and you help other people with the connections. I met up with Kevin Franken because we both did fundraisers for the Special Olympics. I did mine for Special Olympics Ohio. I raised $5,600. I got 2 more hobby tattoos for it because last year I got the rated rookie on my arm here. There it is.
Oh, I was like, I think that's actually a last year card, not a first year card. The other one on your arm.
Yeah, might be. and then I got the future star, like
33 and a half when his career ended.
Yeah, something like that. It's the tragic ending.
Right.
And so then I've got my kids' heartbeats and then the future stars underneath that. And so I met Kevin Franken, which I talk to every day now because he was doing Special Olympics in New Jersey, and he's never raised over like $200 or something before. We got him like 2,000. They got me over 5,000, and all because it's connections that you make. Like, how in the world did I raise 500, or not 500, $5,000 by myself for the Ohio Special Olympics? Like, I go to register and I'm like, yeah, here's my paperwork. She's like, okay, what team are you on? I'm like, no, it's just me. She's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, your team didn't? I'm like, yeah, my team, but my team's just me. Like, it's incredible the effect when you think about it that you have on other people, and you have that effect on. Yeah, my team's the hobby.
You're right. And that's like, because what you're saying, and this gets lost a lot of times, I feel like on Twitter, is like, it is still real life. Cards are. I mean, I don't know if this is. Why is this worth $600 or $500? I don't know. Why is a $500 bill worth that? I don't know. But this is a big part of my life. If I'm in Vegas and I have time, I get dinner with Mike still, and we sit and we talk. We argue on Twitter. Wander Franco's rookie card. We argue, but it's fun. It's the people, and it becomes real life. You doing that, and those dollars passing from people that you met online to special needs kids in Ohio, who then are going to go on and compete somewhere that they wouldn't have available to them. Like, you're sending a kid on a journey somewhere. Like, there's life at the end of this road, which I feel like can oftentimes get lost. That said, in the middle of my life, thankfully my business is remote and mostly online, so that gives me a lot of opportunity to tweet also. In fact, I've joked before, people are like, how do you have all this time? And I'm like, you don't understand, aside from breaks like this, most of the time, the busier I am in work, the more I'm able to tweet, because it's something where it's like, if I've got a 15-minute break between meetings, I can't go and do a financial plan for somebody in that 15 minutes. Like, so I'll go on Twitter. Like, when I've got this much time, that time gets spent on Twitter because I can do it in those short little bursts here and there. When I'm slow at my job and having to ramp things up, that's when I actually slow down on Twitter. So I'm blessed in that way. But then also from the support of people, it is nice to be able to say to my wife, hey, guess what? This year, actually, it's not entirely about the money, but just in general, 2021 was the first year since I left that table waiting job, which was at a fine dining restaurant, where I was able to bring home as much as I had made there. So it was nice to be able to say to my wife, hey, cards were a part of that. Like, because then that helps justify all of this. I used to have to like rip and sell immediately just to justify spending the money on it. And now we're in a bit more comfortable of a place where I can justify it without having as much of the stress. So
Awesome. Well, I know you talked about growing on Twitter. Like LJ's, well, I started with 68 followers. They didn't have much of a Twitter following, and we're up to about 400 now. They've got 6,000 or so on Instagram, but they do most of their stuff on eBay and other platforms, Golden, PWCC, and stuff like that. So how can I help grow our company? Because that's what they brought me in for. They saw what I could do Goldline with myself. Now that I have the assets and the support of this incredible, company, how can I grow to be watch the Ivans, watch the LJs?
I was gonna say, watch the LJs. Who wants to watch the Ivans? So I'm getting distracted because I always want to look specifically if I'm going to give advice. Where are you guys at? Hey, you've popped up on there. Well, first off, are you also on Instagram?
Yes, they have about 6,000 followers on Instagram right now.
Yeah. So one, it's interesting. I find that places that rip a ton, Instagram is a great home for them because it'll look like every day you're hitting $1,000 cards, because you are. But like my Instagram feed doesn't get anywhere near the response because half the time I'm posting a $5 card. And let's be honest, on Instagram, the huge cards post. Twitter is different. Twitter, you need the conversation to be ongoing. So I would say the same thing that I hinted at. Like, yeah, find stuff that you can give away that will have an impact, that will help grow that following, and then make sure that you're living in the conversations on Twitter. You can't just post and ignore it on Twitter. And 15 minutes a day isn't enough on Twitter either. You really do have to jump into the conversations to start growing it. And then I would say also, just one thing that gets highly underutilized are email lists and talking about it in shop. So I know you don't have the shop yet, but once you have the shop, are you going to be in there?
Absolutely.
So when you're in there, have your phone out, customer hits something big. Hey, I'm posting that on Twitter. Are you on Twitter? What's your Twitter? I'll follow you back. Make sure that you're actually saying it to people. It's crazy to me how many salespeople at companies that I've worked with or advised, the salespeople don't take advantage of the social media at all. And they don't realize how the social media helps them get customers back in the door.
Yeah.
Because it's cool. If I hit something in your shop, you're going to promote it. Remember, at the end of the day, we are all selfish human beings. So people want to know that you are promoting them. And then they'll slip and slide into promoting you. It was hilarious. I recently, I saw an account that posted something to the effect of like, well, I don't retweet sales because oh, hey, Kyle. Okay.
That Kyle's important enough that we just stopped to say hello. So
Yeah.
just like everybody else who joined
what
in here, every one of you, we stopped to say hello to.
Yep. Oh wait, is in Twitter or in the shop, or in YouTube, or in the shop?
No, Kyle's on. He's watching the show from Seattle.
Oh, K-Dub, Kyle.
K-Dub. Yeah, sorry.
There's a lot of Kyle. Sorry, Kyle. You're number one Kyle in my phone at least. But hey, K-Dub, great guy. So what was I saying? Give back. Oh yeah, like I don't retweet sales because I did and nobody ever tipped me for it. And I'm like, I literally connected a buyer recently, or a seller really. Guy posted a card. And I said, hey, do you mind if I post that in a Facebook group? I may know a buyer. $7,000 sale. That's good for that person. Like, and guess what? That person is going to come back at some point and see something of mine or need something of mine. Like, you don't look at the dividends that are right there. Look at the dividends that are down the line. Be good regardless of what you get, and good will come back to you. So, engage, give away some stuff, but on Twitter, you really have to be in the conversation, and remember that it is about highlighting other people. So if you can highlight customers that are buying, if you can highlight hits that are hit, that sort of thing, do it. But the more you can, if you hit something and you know who it was in that break, if you can tag them, remember, they're going to be excited, right? They're going to want to post it and share it. So as much of that loop that you mentioned earlier, create the loop and then be in the loop.
Yeah, absolutely. My boss was talking this morning. I'm like, hey, I got to leave early. I got to pick up my kids. He goes, that's fine. I see you tweeting at 8 o'clock at night. I see stuff at 6 a.m. I see it at 5 p.m. It's never like the job doesn't just end. Like it's almost never ending because I could be laying in bed and I see, okay, Tom Brady unretired. Got to make a post. What Tom Brady cards do we have to show off? Okay, or baseball's back. I a Ronald Acuna Bowman first, basically rainbow. Posted those up there, and people like, wow, you guys are holding. Like, yeah, we are. It's sweet.
So I got the craziest cap to this whole thing. So just because this whole thing is really about the hobby. So I mentioned that Scottish collector, Connor C22, literally DM'd me this minute on Twitter and said, wow, the card arrived today. Connor had told me Tuesday is my birthday last week when we did this whole thing, and I was worried I wasn't going to get, it's traveling to Scotland. The card arrived today on Connor's birthday, and he ripped a box for his birthday and pulled a Henrik Larsson auto from that as well.
Those are awesome stories you love to hear.
Like it doesn't get any better than this hobby. Me and a guy in Scotland having a chat over cards, me and a guy in Ohio having chats over cards.
Isn't it incredible? Like you're in California, I'm in Ohio, and we've spent an hour and 10 minutes almost just sitting here lounging around talking cards. So.
Yep. And somebody pointed out in the chat too, I think Garrett did, the whole chat, and everything pauses when K-Dub shows up, or Chris Bradshaw, yeah, because we all love K-Dub, right? So at the end of the day, that's the fun part. There's a lot of money to be made. I'm happy for LJ's growth. I'm excited. You've teased some of the hits that you guys might share on social media. I'm excited to start seeing some of those roll in. But that excitement is all backed by the fact that, Chris, it's fun with you. K-Dub, it's fun with you.
Yeah,
Chris Bradshaw, it's fun with you. Like, if I was just doing this in a cave because it was money and valuable, like, it's not fun. I could go work at a bank and do that.
Yeah. So 2 more things real quick. I mean, we get the stuff back today, and Leo's our owner. He's so excited. He's just handing me stuff like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? I can't get into exactly what's in there or anything at the moment, but he's just, he's like, it's Christmas morning. Like, these are the coolest stuff. It's the coolest stuff I've ever seen. And the coolest stuff, there's like 6 of us opening, this box of stuff is just incredible. And so I just wanted to mention that real quick. And then, we're running pretty long here. So I did mention the Jesse Winker earlier, my daughter's favorite player going to Seattle. I got to bring it up. I'm sorry. How do you feel about Chris Bryant to the Rockies? He's your guy. And that's a good way to finish up here.
Yeah, I hate it. But I get it. I'm personally of the belief, especially seeing how active Chris was on social media as a minor leaguer, I feel like the way that they did the service time manipulation, just him and the organization were never best friends, which makes me sad. But so I get it. He wasn't coming back to the Cubs. He deserves money. He deserves to get paid. I will love him forever. But I posted even just yesterday on Twitter that like the absolute worst card I've ever seen. Flip side of how much I loved this one is Topps has a card of him that says, like Topps signing or Topps traded or whatever, with him in a Giants uniform with a Rockies background. But I get it. So the irony of it is, and I mentioned a bit about my own financial growth, and like I started a business 6 years ago, and it's just now starting to come to fruition in finance and everything. I spent more money since he left the Cubs on Chris Bryant Cubs cards than I think I spent in the entire 2 or 3 years before that, like after the World Series. So it's a win, and like there's a silver lining in it.
But will you collect Chris Bryant Giants and Rockies cards or only Cubs? Because I'm on the fence like Peyton Manning. I only want Peyton Manning Broncos cards. Or like Eric Decker Broncos cards. Todd Frazier Reds cards. I don't want them on other teams. This is my thing. Or how do you feel about Chris? You're going to collect his Giants and Rockies? Or
so I mean, I haven't seen him in a Rockies uniform yet, so I haven't had the actual feel response to it. The Giants ones, I don't like them. I do have one here still. I purchased this, but I can't.
I'm still waiting for my Cody Bellinger postseason auto.
Yeah, this was the postseason set that I bought from Topps. So I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not super into it. But I will never get rid of his Cubs cards. Like those are with me forever.
All right, man. Well, we've lounged here for almost an hour and 15 minutes. I can't thank you enough for coming on, being our first guest. I just thought it was important to have. So, like, I've been trying to track you down for the Gold Line show for forever. And finally, I have at 1 o'clock my time where I can do this because you're West Coast, I'm East Coast. So finally, the stars all aligned, and I'm so happy you joined us today. Do you have a good time? Just hang out, lounge, and talking cards?
This was awesome. I'm so blessed that you asked me. I'm blessed that you made, because I don't think everybody knows this. You asked me yesterday, and I was like, I probably can't later. Any chance you can do it tomorrow? So glad that we could make it work with both of our schedules, and glad that we could finally do this, Chris. LJ, Gold Line, I don't care. I'm just happy to talk to you and talk cards. So thank you.
Awesome. So he said, y'all ain't going to shout out my students. I mean, I got kids working on projects at lunch. I mean, Kyle's got kids working on projects at lunch, he is clearly sending those kids the right direction in life. So we just need to, K-Dub, he doesn't like the Kyle. So we're going to end it with that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Ivan, watch the breaks. Make sure you watch them Thursday nights. Anything you want to plug before we leave?
No, just that. Actually, every Thursday night, Twitter, it's actually Go GTS Live is the Twitter, but I'll post it from the breaks as well when it goes live. But we rip product and just give it away and have product information on things that LJs will probably carry that you may not know about. So watch our show Thursday and then go on, LJs or your favorite breaker site and say, oh, wait, that's the one that I want to get some of. Because then there are surprises, like there was what was that Panini football product? Rookies and Stars.
Yes, that's my wife's favorite product.
And it blew us away. So it's like, if you're like, man, it all feels the same. Everything I've gotten a blaster of doesn't quite do it for me. I don't know what break to jump into. Well, that's what our show is for. Say like, oh, wait, Rookies and Stars. You may actually want to buy into that. This is cool. This is fun. We're having fun with it. So good way to preview all the products. Because we rip one, we don't go through a case. So you're not getting slogged down there. You get to see 5 or 6 different products in a single night and then go and do your case buying and your break buying the next day. So,
but hey, if you are looking for a case of that 89 Upper Deck, you let me know because I got one. So
soon, after Baby 3, maybe.
All right.
I'm
Well, thank you
starting that
so
whole
much.
cycle over again.
I don't think I could do it right now. I'll be 40 this year, and it's just not for me. So my wife and I made that decision that two's good.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope that I get to see you in Atlantic City this year, and thank you so much for having me on.
Yep. Thanks everybody for watching. Go to